Tomorrow night is Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day. So I actually brought some special memorial candles. They have individual names of people who died in the Holocaust. Each one is different, and it also has anyone has a smartphone that has a special QR code. You can scan it and you can get a whole history of that specific person. So it's just a very interesting, sponsored by the Cayley family. So everyone is more than welcome to take one, or if you want to have others that you know would like to take one, we'll take for them too. So there was a story that my wife showed me recently that relates to the Holocaust. There was a certain man by the name of Sir Nicholas Winston, who was everybody knows the story, if you saw a video about it. He was a man who saved 669 children in the Holocaust, before the Holocaust, actually in 1938. And he sent them off to England for safety. Most of their parents died in Auschwitz afterwards. One of the people who was saved in that was actually a very famous rabbi today, Rabbi Adler. And the amazing thing, the thing that struck me really about this, I mean, there are quite a number of stories of righteous Gentiles in the Holocaust. This particular one is that he kept it quiet for 50 years. Nobody knew about the fact that he saved all these hundreds of children for 50 years until his wife was going through the attic and she found the notebook of all the names of every one of the children. And you can see it's a very nice YouTube video where he gets up and all these people are standing up and they didn't realize that they're standing up for him. And then it turns out afterwards that each of the people who are in the room are people that he saved 50 years later. So the lesson that I got from that is the concept of tzniut, of modesty. And that somebody could actually be a hero and to keep it quiet for so long, and that's something which I think is very unique, and it's a very special lesson. I don't know if anybody remembers the song from Dr. Hook from, I don't know, probably like 30 years ago, of I'm going to get my face on the cover of the Rolling Stone. Yeah? So, and there was a Jewish spin-off of that afterwards, Country Yossi, saying I'm going to get my face on the cover of the Jewish press. So, but that idea of, I think a lot of people today also kind of dream of, what is somebody that makes it? You get your face on the cover of Mishpacha or some other publication, and that's how we define, somebody who's a success, that's something that's greatness. But really, the truth is, in Judaism, the concept of tzniut, of modesty, is something which is held in a very high esteem. In fact, the example that's given of tzniut in the Gemara is if somebody pays for the wedding of an orphan and doesn't tell anybody about it. So it has nothing to do with, it's not just a woman's thing, that's also a misnomer about Judaism, that tzniut is something which is just reserved just for women, but it's really not, it's across the board. Another idea, I could bring tons of examples of this just to see how Judaism views this, but there's another story in the Gemara about a certain near-death experience with Rabbi Yosef, the son of Rabbi Yoshua, that he was actually, you could say he was dead for a short period of time, and then when he woke up, his father asked him, he said, what did you see in the next world? He was actually all the way in heaven. And he said, I saw an upside-down world, Olam Hafach, I saw an upside-down world. People who were high up were low down, people who were low down were high up. So we see the concept that just because somebody is held in, somebody who's famous, somebody who's held in a very high esteem, that's not the reality. The reality is that somebody could really have tremendous value, but it's not necessarily seen that way in the outside world. Another example is the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, which talks about, you think about what are the things that people dream about? What would you like to have? So you talk about wealth, you talk about strength, power, might, you talk about wisdom, honor. So when the Mishnah talks about people who have all these different things, the example that it gives for each one of these things are private things which no one else can necessarily know about. So for example, who is considered strong? Somebody who conquers his desires. Who is somebody who is wise? Right? Somebody who's able to learn from somebody else. Who is somebody who's rich? Somebody who's happy with his own lot. Each one of these things is something which nobody else can know about, but these are the way Judaism looks at it. You would think that, what's the rest of the world's concept of a gibor, of a strong person, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, right? But in Judaism, though, it's the private things that nobody else can necessarily know about. And just one more example, The story, the Gemara asks a question of, it's actually a statement that says, if somebody asks the question of, Ma ahanu le'erbanu, what do these rabbis do for us? Right? So somebody kind of putting down people who just sit and learn Torah all day, and, and I've heard this question quite a number of times, that, who are they benefiting? If they were teachers, I could understand. But if somebody just sits in, let's say, in a kollel all day, and just learns Torah, what benefit do they give to the world? So the Gemara says some pretty nasty stuff about somebody who says that. And the reason, and the example that it says how it shows that that's not true is from the story of Avram Avinu. That when Hashem wanted to destroy the city of Sodom, so it says, if everybody knows the story, that he said, if you find me 10 righteous people in each city, then I won't destroy it, right? So you think about it. Imagine, let's say, Avram did find 10 righteous people in that city, right? Those 10 righteous people could have saved an entire city and nobody would have known about it at all, right? Just the fact that they were a righteous person in that city, that alone makes it, they could have saved an entire city. So you can imagine, the city of Detroit, the entire New York City saved because of 10 people who were just righteous in that city. So it's not necessarily the guts and the glory, but it's really the inherent goodness that a person has, and that's something that I learned from Sir Nicholas Winston and from all these different